Hello everyone! Today we're going to talk about the controversial hero Gandhi. So Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, also known as Mahatma Gandhi, was born in 1869 in Port-en-Bar, a coastal city in India. He grew up in a relatively privileged family. His father was involved in politics and his mother was very religious. This had a big influence on him, especially in shaping his values, like non-violence, truth and self-resistance. From a young age, he was taught the importance of honesty and social responsibility.
And what did he do when he grew up?
So later, Gandhi went to London to study law. This experience exposed him to Western culture, but he tried to stay connected to his Indian roots and identity. After becoming a lawyer, he moved to South Africa, and this is where his life really changed. While living there, Gandhi experienced racism and discrimination. One of the most famous events was he was thrown off a train because of his skin color, even though he had a valid first-class ticket. This moment deeply shocked him and became a turning point in his life. Instead of accepting injustice, he decided to fight against it. He then developed a method called non-violence resistance, also known as civil disobedience. This means protesting peacefully without using violence, even when facing oppression. Gandhi believed that moral strength and truth were more powerful than physical force or aggression. After more than 20 years in South Africa, Gandhi returned to India. There, he became one of the main leaders in the struggle for independence from British rule. He organized several important movements. One of the most famous was the Salt March in 1930. Gandhi and his followers walked hundreds of kilometers to protest British control over salt production. By making salt themselves, they challenged the authority of the British Empire in a simple but powerful way. Gandhi's action inspired millions of people across India.
And what was the consequences of his action on people?
So he first encouraged people to resist peacefully, but also to boycott British goods and to unite as a nation. His leadership played a key role in India eventually gaining independence in 1947. His influence also went beyond India. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela were inspired by his ideas of non-violence and civil resistance. However, even if Gandhi is often seen as a symbol of peace and justice, his legacy is not completely positive or simple. Some historians criticize his earlier views on race during his time in South Africa. Unfortunately, some critics also point to more personal aspects of his life, such as controversial experiments related to celibacy when he shared a bed with a young woman only to test his self-control. These actions are still widely debated today and raise ethical questions. However, in our presentation and for the next question, we will only focus on the philosophical ideas of Gandhi.
We saw that Gandhi played a central role in India's independence struggle, but his position has never been fully accepted by everyone. He believed that liberation achieved through violence will corrupt the society he tries to free. And he built indeed his method, Satyagraha, on the idea that the truth and voluntary sacrifice have more power than violence. However, this belief, often admired, is also the main reason why Gandhi is still debated today.
So, what is the utilitarist point of view of Gandhi?
From an utilitarian point of view, Gandhi can be seen as a great moral success because he helped hundreds of millions of people to be free from colonial rule, while avoiding a cycle of violence and destruction, usually linked to armed revolutions. In this way, he appears to promote progress that improves people's overall well-being. However, these positive views raise an important question. Is non-violence always effective, or does it work in specific historical situations? So this is exactly where thinkers like Frantz Fanon offer a strong critique. In the context of decolonization, Fanon argues that the violence can be necessary to destroy an oppressive colonial system. According to him, Gandhi non-violence may keep oppressed people in a passive position and even prolong their domination and suffer more. So while Gandhi sees voluntary suffering as a moral tool, Fanon sees a risk. Can we ask oppressed people to sacrifice even more without the certainty to be free?
And why Gandhi is still debated in philosophical ideas?
So Gandhi is debated because he stands between two opposing views. On one side, there is an ethical approach based on non-violence, dignity, and moral transformation. But on the other side, there is a more radical view that sees violence as something necessary for liberation. So this creates a key question: can freedom always be achieved through moral pure means? Gandhi refused to separate means and end and proposed a very demanding and idealistic visions of politics. But at the same time, this vision can seem too limited when facing harsh historical realities, which explain why Gandhi is still both admired and criticized today.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you for the video. And yeah, now I want to share some of my point of view about Gandhi and from a positive side. Overall, I really admire him, especially his idea of non-violence. I think what he showed is that you don't always need violence to create change. In many cases, violence just creates more conflict, where his approach offers a different way to respond. So, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I like Gandhi's aspect when he's spreading non-violence, but most of the time we talk about non-physical violence, which is great, but moral violence can be pretty harsh. And when he moved to South Africa, he used to develop ideas fostering the segregation between black people and Indian people. When he came to South Africa, he first got really rejected really badly by the people by the natives from the country. So then he inflected what he has submitted during a couple of years. The kafir in South Africa is like racial insults, and he used to call black people kafir in his writing and in his essay when he was a lawyer. So he also spread a lot of moral violence, which is need to take into account when we think about Gandhi.
Yeah, so I get your point. You mean although he has some non-violence actions, but this one just focus on the physical non-violence, but you mean he has a lot of moral violence? So this is the way you think it's negative? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I truly agree with that. But what I find really interesting is that he didn't just care about the results, but he also focused on the way you achieve it. For him, it was not acceptable to use violence, even for a good cause, but maybe some unintentionally he caused the moral violence. But personally, I think maybe it's a really important idea for he more care about the course, not the results. Because today people always focus only on the results and ignore what their actions are actually right. Although Gandhi may make some small mistakes when he actually carrying out his actions, but at least at the way he wants to do that, he just acted out of passion and out of his moral right, but just the mistake is like unintentionally, I think. And I also think his approach was powerful in practice because he was able to mobilize a huge number of people and challenge British rule in India. But he did it through peaceful actions like protest and civil disobedience. And I think this time he didn't cause a moral violence. So for me, the non-violence is not something passive. It's actually a very active and strong way to resist. And I think you also heard about Martin Luther King, right?
Of course, I heard about it.
The famous guy is also used a similar method Gandhi used during the civil rights movement. And I think this shows Gandhi's ideas didn't just work in one situation, but can be applied in different places. But I also want to hear what you think about.
I believe you shouldn't dissociate the acts and from the what he's done in his life, as we know, for the release of India from the Britain Empire. But when you think about Gandhi, he made an experiment because he wanted to prove his resistance to charnel desire. So for a couple of years, he slept with young women, even in her nephew, to prove he could go ahead of it and dodge this strong desire. Maybe I really don't like the process, but what he wanted to show can be venerable for such a big person in his country. But it's really the process that I really don't like. I don't feel like you could validate this process.
I cannot validate. I was really shocked when I know this. I think maybe Gandhi just get the wrong way when he get older, but actually he done most of his the good things or the admired things when he was young, and when he's getting older, I don't know what's happened, but this action cannot be tolerant to me, I think. So this part I really agree with you. But I think Gandhi's influence, just like the positive one, is more than the negative one. Yeah. So this is a way I think he is controversial hero because if a person just have the positive part, it's nothing to say, nothing to talk about. But Gandhi is the one very suitable for us to discuss because he has both the positive and the negative, and his influence is very relevant today. We live in a world where the conflicts escalate very quickly, so especially online, and people react aggressively. In that context, his message may remind us that there are other ways to respond, like dialogue, patience, and respect. And we should also just learn from his mistakes and not just do the similar bad thing like him. Yeah.
Sure. You were talking earlier about Gandhi having many people behind him and many people supporting him, whatever he could do.
Yeah.
However, he had still a couple enemies, such as Ambedkar, who was the leader of the untouchable caste in India. And he actually wanted the caste to thrive through the time, and he truly believed also that the castes should stay how they are in order to maintain the peace and the stability in the population, which can be quite controversial as long as the untouchable were really in poor conditions, lot of disease, really under the poverty. And lastly, he also during World War II, he also had a big message concerning the Jewish people against the Nazis, and he told them not to use violence against the Nazis, which in a certain way can be really degrading when you see how it came out with the Holocaust and stuff. So he's been very criticized for this message too.
It's right in some contexts, but not always right in
Of course.
all. Yeah. So, but he always use this idea to treat everything so something costs very.
Maybe maybe he's a bit naive in a certain way when he says to the Jewish people not to use violence.
Yeah, it's not correct.
Anyway, even though I'm criticizing in a bad way Gandhi, I still believe like if we take a utilitarian lens, I still believe he's done more good than bad thing in making people suffer. So
that's
I think
why
he's still a great guy.
Yeah, so that's why some people and a lot of people think he is a hero.
Yeah, that's why that's why he's a hero.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't remember the small events that are very criticizable.
Yeah, so of course he wasn't perfect, but the most important
But nobody is perfect.
is the impact and the values he promoted, and he changed the way people think about power and resistance.
Sure.
And show that real strength can come from self-control and moral courage.
He's really inspiring in this way.
Yeah.
Okay.